Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk of Fame podcast. I'm Kylie Montigney as your host, and today we have Estefania Soto, who is an ambassador to the Women Economic Forum, Caribbean TV host, actress, and model. Has been part of Miss Universe Puerto Rico 2020. She began her actor career in late 2021. It was cast as Camilla in Fox's Fantasy Island in season 2 in February 2022, and also following performance at the International Miss Universe 2020 competition, in which she placed in the top 10. She worked as an investigative journalist and developed as a TV host for several local TV network shows. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. It's so an honor to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Kylie, for such a wonderful introduction. I'm very excited to be here. So I'm ready. I'm ready to talk a little bit with you and let the world know what is it that I do and where do I come from.
Yes, of course. So in 2020, you participated in the Miss Universe Puerto Rico. How did you kind of prepare for the pageant? Was that your first pageant, or you did some things before?
Actually, it was my very first pageant. I always loved modeling in general, like high fashion and runways, but I was never interested in pageantry. Somehow life, gave me a 360 change and I became interested in the platform because I realized it was a platform not only to celebrate women physically, but women
Mhm.
entirely as capable people and individuals in a lot of different aspects. So I was very interested in competing, and the preparation, of course, it's there are multiple aspects that you need to prepare for when you go into these platforms. So, of course, a lot of people know these platforms as okay, these are models and they look pretty and blah blah blah. But there's a lot of other aspects like physical stuff. I mean, intellectual things, psychological things that you really need to get used to and to get ready for in order for you to present yourself. So at the beginning, I was very excited. I started working like 4 months prior to do the casting. And that focus in training was more into, working out physically, and trying to get to the body shape that I wanted to be in order to present myself. Later on, as the experience developed, the focus was more into learning how to create the image that I wanted to give in terms of hair and makeup. And then my favorite preparation part was actually when we were coming nearer to the final night. There's this part where the jury asks questions. So there's also a lot of preparation in terms of, what's going on in the world, what are my opinions in different topics and subjects in society right now. So there's a lot of studying, research. So it's a very well-rounded preparation that we all have to go through.
Oh yeah, I didn't expect you had to kind of work out and all those things to be in that pageant. I never knew that was kind of the process of it.
Yeah, it's a little bit, it's about constructing what is the image that you want to give and what is the message that you want to put forth. In my case, it was clear to me that even though there's a big aspect of the glamorous part of it and being a model, there is also a big opportunity to bring a message. And I was very interested in starting a discussion on how women can both be interested in both fashion stuff and be
Mhm.
glamorous and and the most simple things that you would think are not important at all in life, but also be capable of having an opinion and developing your critical thinking. So for me it was very important that I would tackle that rounded training. So not only the physical aspect of it and the makeup and the dress, but also how I speak in front of people and how I inspire the communities.
What the whole dress is in the pageant? Did you choose it yourself, or did you the people head of the pageant choose it for you?
So you have a lot of freedom when you compete in these kinds of platforms. In my case, I had a group of people that were guiding me and we were constructing sort of the image that I wanted to give. I wanted to look like a very elegant woman. So we worked together. I had a lot of freedom in order to
Yeah.
decide, what color and how I wanted to look and how I wanted to perceive myself. So it's also a very creative process for all of us.
Do you do you is what I'm kind of curious. Does the way you dress play a massive role in the way you get you win, or is it oh, I rather just dress the way I am to help others and in order to see myself as a person type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. It depends. This whole dress code, it's just like for our daily lives. There are certain moments and certain spaces, depending on the event, that we need to adjust that dress code, right? Forever, if
Mhm.
we ever go to an interview, or if we are at a party with friends, or at a wedding of a family member, we would adjust that dress code. So for the pageants, it's the same. So choosing the gown, it's a response to the dress code of a final night where you present yourself in that gown, right? It does not make a huge impact in terms of they will not give you points or take less points if they like or don't like your dress. But it is
Mhm.
really important that you know who you are, that you know what kind of style you have, what fits you good, what doesn't fit you better, so that you can present yourself the best that you can, so that you can, make a good impact.
Like, are you originally from Puerto Rico or are you
I
like,
am originally from Puerto Rico. Yeah, my
ooh,
entire family members are all born and raised in Puerto Rico, and it's been a blessing to, come from a small island and get to represent all the talent that comes from there. So I'm very proud.
I literally used to convince my parents to take me to Puerto Rico when I was a little kid. And I still
Oh,
to this
did you
day,
ever
like
go or not
I
yet?
never went, but I'm still dying to go. Like, I used to
Oh,
convince
you have
like,
to. You have
oh,
to.
mom and dad, like I know you've been thinking about going on vacation, like you go to Puerto Rico, and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's time to go. It's time to go. You're gonna love it. There's a lot of things to do, and I think it's good. That people from the United States usually are not really clear in terms of what relationship politically they have in terms of Puerto Rico and the USA, because we are U.S. citizens. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. I'd say I would recommend for everyone to visit. We are happy to welcome all of you, and very excited to show you our culture and what we have to offer.
Like I like with what pictures I see in videos is so beautiful. Like the
Yes.
beaches and everything. I'm like, God, just go there for a week by myself and just like chill out and travel because anything like any excuse I get to travel is like a minimum. I'm like whenever someone's like, oh, do you want to go to do a day trip to Florida or something. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, let's go. But it's like with Puerto Rico, it's just beautiful. Like I feel like you need to stay there for at least like a week or two to
Yes,
actually
definitely.
time to
You
actually
could you could
explore.
enjoy a week in the capital, but if you can stay 2 weeks, then you'll be good. But a week is okay too. I hope you can come visit one day.
Definitely. And like, how does it feel to kind of set like an example for young girls in Miss Universe Puerto Rico?
Wow, it's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling. But more than, thinking of the aspect of you have a bunch of eyes on you.
Yeah.
And that's an opportunity to show who you are, what's your personality, but most importantly, it's a huge opportunity to set an example. It feels like a huge responsibility because the platform Miss Universe has always been known for the physical aspect and how beautiful a
Mhm.
woman is, but if you go deeper and in depth and understand what is it that every girl goes through when they come into these stages, and you quickly see it's a lot more than just a glamorous aspect. It's about developing leaders for the communities. And so in that sense, I know that I've got a lot of women and girls that are looking up to me. All the things that I post on my Instagram, for example, I am very careful of what it is that I post. I'm very careful that the things that I share really are an example of how I think about women development. So it is an amazing feeling, but it's also very important to clarify that it does come with a big, big, big responsibility.
Because like as like a woman, especially in Miss Universe, like you basically have to kind of watch like what you post and what you say, whether it's on social media or even the pageant itself. Like because there's plenty of women watching, and they're like, okay, well, I like this person, and I want to like I want to see what she says. So I can watch what she does, so I can do that too. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
like when you do those pageants and when people are looking to get into them, like they're worried kind of about like the atmosphere of like Miss Universe and pageants. Because I know that pageants, not just Miss Universe, but like maybe it's like a small competitions, whether it's like a local Miss let's just say Luzerne County or something, like a small competition for the county you live in. It's like no matter how small it is, whether it's like a local type of thing, like it can just be so what's the word I'm looking for? Like it's basically very hard to do things with being that pageant. Like it's very difficult and very hard to do things because you have other girls that can be cocky because
Yeah.
of like, well, I'm better than you because of the way I'm wearing I have more experience, that type of thing. It's
Yeah,
very
and
strict, like very strict.
yeah, I think that's also part of this idea, the general idea that the general public and the general audiences have of these kinds of pageants. It's important to say also that for a long time now, they are no longer referred to as beauty pageants, but just platforms for women development, platforms for competition between women, and not necessarily for the beauty aspect. There's a lot of things that I wish people would know, about the development, the growth, the sisterhood that is really created when you go through these types of experiences. And I'm very grateful. I never thought that I would go through it, and I've grown a lot. I have grown closer to myself as well, to have this self concept, and that is a very important thing for life and for you to develop professionally. So I'm very, very grateful for that.
Oh yeah, like do you think like your experiences like growing up kind of helped you prepare for Miss Universe or like oh in the moment I prepared more than the way I grew up?
That's an interesting question. I definitely believe that all the things that I did before coming into the platform, I was doing my master's degree, I was developing a career in the international community as a diplomat and in the international relations industry. That definitely helped build the performance and the car that I would present when I stepped up as Miss Universe Puerto Rico. And it's actually something I still carry with me in whatever that I do. Now that I'm developing as an actor, it's also something that I know gives a lot of strength and power to my profile. When people read that,
Mhm.
oh, she speaks this amount of languages, and before that, she obtained a master's degree in intercultural mediation. She has worked here and there. So it's funny because I was developing in that career, in that industry, not thinking ever that it would be an amazing tool and my main, presentation card for this industry. So I feel lucky, and I feel surprised as well by how life goes, right? Sometimes
Mhm.
you set up on a plan and on a dream, and that doesn't work. So you find and you reach another dream, and then all of a sudden that dream sort of brings you back to what you always wanted to do. And that was my case. So to answer your question, I would say yes. But in a very surprising way. I did not expect that all the things that I did and went through, at the university will actually lead and become a source of inspiration and strength for all these things that I'm doing now.
Like growing up, like you never anticipate in what you're doing in life as you get older. Like I'm only 16 years old and I never anticipated in doing these type of things. Never. I was always the type of person that loves entertainment wise and all those things that involves entertainment, sports, whatever, but I never like imagined doing something in entertainment type of
Yeah.
things, and that was so shy growing up. But like, what would you describe like your younger self in a way? Like, what would you?
I love this question. I would say I was very shy as well and very
Oh,
creative. I was always either painting or making bracelets and earrings. And my parents were always very supportive of that. I remember I also went through photography when I was your
mhm,
age. I found, I fell in love with black and white photography. It is something that I still do today. So definitely a very creative childhood and a very free childhood. There was a lot of freedom that our parents, I have a big brother, our parents gave us. They would always tell us, you need to do what makes you happy. And you need
mhm,
to make sure that whatever makes you happy, then you go and train to become the best at it. So, definitely a lot of creativity and freedom would
mhm.
define the childhood that I had.
Definitely. Like, I always say the exact same thing. Because growing up, I used to have a creative mind, I would say. Because like even now, like whether it's like photography, like I used to like I love taking pictures. Whether
Yeah.
it's like at my brother's games or it's life in general, I love taking pictures. And like whenever I have an actual camera, I remember like one of my brothers teammates' mother, like my brother played baseball was brother or whatever growing up, and I remember her asking like, "Oh, can you take pictures for me at the stadium for the game?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, sure." And I just remember like with taking pictures, I don't know why, but like I never knew I had like a photography sense until like maybe last year. And now like
Wow.
every time I hold like a camera, like an actual camera or whether it's on my phone, I'm like, I'm loving this. So maybe
Great.
it's like I know it's like a probably like a stupid hobby, but it's like it's something that like whenever it's taking pictures for someone, it's like whenever they see those pictures, it's a core memory for them to live when they're
Yeah.
older.
It is a beautiful thing. I love photography. I think especially what black and white, it really shows you the details that usually you don't see if they're just normal color. And one of the things that I love about hobbies, is that you don't necessarily have to be great at it. It's just
Yeah.
these things that you do because you enjoy doing them and they bring you joy. So yeah, yeah.
100%. Like, you can speak Spanish, English, and French fluently, which is crazy. Like, I can only speak English fluently. I can imagine speaking three of them fluently, but like, if like people or listen to this episode are just speaking English and curious to listen to any Spanish or French words, can you say at least one of Spanish or French word in case people are curious? And
Yeah, of course. I can present myself in Spanish and French if that's okay. Would that
yeah, of
work?
course.
Ok, pues mi nombre es Estefania Soto, soy puertorriqueña, tengo 31 años y actualmente estoy en Los Ángeles desarrollándome como actriz luego de haber pasado por la plataforma de Miss Universe Puerto Rico y el Miss Universe en general y luego de haber formado una carrera también en la diplomacia y relaciones internacionales. En français, bonjour à tous, je m'appelle Estefania Soto, je suis portoricaine, j'ai 31 ans. Je suis actuellement à Los Angeles, Californie, en train de développer mes compétences en tant qu'actrice. Et ça, après avoir passé pour le Miss Universe Puerto Rico, le Miss Universe. Et ça, après avoir développé mes compétences dans l'académie, l'université, dans le monde diplomatique. Voilà.
Oh my God, that was so good. Were you growing up, did you speak Spanish? Like or just like
Okay,
French?
so in Puerto Rico, our first language is Spanish, so
Mm.
that's my first language. At school, we usually learn English, so that's how I learn English. And then I wanted to be an interpreter, and I decided to do a bachelor's degree in foreign languages, in French
Oh,
specifically. And that's how I know French. So up to
oh,
today, I have a certificate of French. My level is C1, which is almost like mother tongue or main tongue. So yeah, it was just wonderful learning languages and learning about different cultures and how people perceive life depending on where they come from and the language that they speak. The language that we speak really determines a lot of how we perceive the world around us. Just to be able to have access and to understand three different perspectives, linguistically speaking, it's amazing. It's amazing, and I love it.
like I actually took French as well. The last like 2 years I took French as well. I'm
Can
now
you
like
present yourself? Can you say something?
I can't present myself honestly. Like I'm horrible. Like I can present myself, but I can say something like some words in Spanish, like hola or something. But it's like I can't like say like a sentence in
Uh-huh.
Spanish or French. I can only like say like a small like wording type of thing, like hola, like hi or something.
Yeah.
But I'm like, hopefully I can actually present myself in next year because I'm taking Spanish next year,
Ooh,
next
nice.
junior year. So hopefully I can actually present myself in the coming year. But yeah, I'll
Yeah,
let you
I
know.
think
Once I actually get fluent, I'll let you know. But like
yeah, please do. I think
yeah,
it's amazing. I think everyone should try and learn at least another language. It opens a lot of doors. I know I'm talking about, this philosophical thing of understanding how people perceive the world through languages, but professionally speaking, it will open a lot of doors for many people. So if you can get that one checked, it will be great.
yeah, and like with especially United States, like the United States has a lot of like Spanish speaking people.
Yep.
And like with with when I took French added to my courses, I remember people asking like, "Why would you take French?" Like that's like it's the United States and people around you usually speak Spanish. I'm like, might as well try something different, right? And like different,
Yeah, yeah, of
try
course.
something different. Like amount if it's I don't like it, I can go to Spanish. Just try to do something different and try to learn something new rather than. May never know. I can always go to France or somewhere that speaks French and use it. It's
Yeah,
always you
definitely.
can use it.
Definitely.
And like in 2022, you're cast as Camilla in Fox's Fantasy Island season two. Like, how would you basically describe Camilla?
Camila is a free-spirited 30-year-old Spanish girl. She loves life, she loves arts, and she is going through her experience, discovering life, and, um, trying to understand the steps that she wants to take. Actually, she is the fantasy of another character of that episode. So it's also interesting to see how she was perceived by this other character. It was amazing playing Camila.
Is it Mateo, right?
Is Mateo. Yeah, Mateo is this guy that's getting married and he goes to the island with his pals and he's just, he's about to get married, second guess, he has cold feet and he's just thinking about this girl that he met a couple of years back in Spain, Camila, and then the island gives him the opportunity to meet her again and to yeah, and to know her a little bit more. I cannot say anything else. You should all watch the episode, but it was fun. It was amazing. It was my first experience on set. And it was the experience that really confirmed that I enjoy a lot acting, which is one of the reasons why I decided to make a move to LA right now.
Ooh, you live in LA currently?
I am in LA for a couple of months. I will be going back home for Puerto Rico, but I'm already contemplating making a big move to Los Angeles. So yeah, I think that it's Los Angeles will be very soon my second home.
Ooh, Los Angeles is the best place. It's one of my favorite places ever. Like, and whenever I get to
Really?
Los Angeles, like it's just like this like it's just beautiful down there. I can't explain like how much I love Los Angeles. Like this Los Angeles, like it's entertainment, film studios, and
Yeah.
history, and the celebrities, of course, film studios. It's like whenever I'm down there, I'm like, this is my place I need to be every single day. Like even though like I literally try to convince my parents to let me go down there for college or something, like, no, you can't go to
Yeah.
California. But it's like California is just like every time I go down there, I feel like a different person for some reason.
Yeah, it is a nice place. Definitely, if you're interested in the industry, it's a place to be, I would say.
Oh, right, exactly. And like with your relationship with Camila and Mateo, like, do you think like it like are you coming back? Were you just sticking in season two or you come back for is there like a season three coming?
No, actually, this will be the last season, season two, and my character Camila was a character that only popped up for that one episode.
Oh, gotcha. What would if you could describe Camila and Mateo's relationship, what would you describe it if people haven't watched the show?
Of course, it's a relationship based on a fantasy.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
the title Fantasy Island, right?
yes. And also because, a lot of people, a lot of us have had this experience of traveling the world and meeting amazing people from other cultures during that trip. And I've heard many, many stories, many love stories of friends that were in Italy or Spain or France, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I met this guy," or "Oh, I met this girl from this other country," and it's
Mhm.
just a beautiful experience, very attractive idea of getting to know someone that's not from your culture that speaks another language. So I would say Camila and Mateo represent that experience, which is also an experience that allows you to get to know yourself a little bit more in depth. In case of Mateo, he is a character that was supposed to get married, and going back in time and meeting for the second time Camila gave him an opportunity to realize what he really had in hands. So at the end, of course, he decides to still get married, but it's a good moment. It's a good experience where people, they get to see only one side of the person that they just met, but there might be a lot of other sides to that person that they don't necessarily are aware of. So yeah, it's an interesting relationship.
Like, especially if it's like a love, like a friendship or a love story that's created in a different country. Like I feel like most love stories happen in a different country when someone's traveling. It's honestly like the best relationship if you ask me. If someone met in a different country and they basically travel together and do everything together since then.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Actually, had the opportunity to date a guy from the Netherlands for 5 years, and it is
Ooh.
amazing, that exchange of cultures and perspectives, and it's a beautiful thing to know that, in that sense, there are usually no barriers in terms of, just relating to people. It's a very beautiful experience.
For sure. And like since you started acting in 2021, like how do you think like you have kind of grown as an actor in the past like 3 years?
Wow,
Well, 2 years. Like,
definitely, definitely. It's become more and more clear to me that I need to give a lot of my time in this training. It takes a lot of work, a lot of depth to understand where you're standing and to understand how to approach a character. There's a lot of vulnerability that you need to be comfortable with. There's a lot of openness that you need to be comfortable with when you're on stage. Um, I think that the biggest uh, learning or teaching for me right now has been that one. I was very lucky to be able to get that role for Fantasy Island. It was my very first role, like I said, and I had just started taking acting classes. So I'm very proud of myself. I'm very proud that I was able to be present in that audition and go for it. Um, and sometimes I'll think, okay, I'm already okay because I did this Fantasy Island thing. But no,
mhm.
I'm currently taking acting classes, and clearly it is a long way. Um, it is a very courageous thing to do. I think a lot of actors, we all have other options in terms of what we could do professionally, and still we choose to do this. So that also takes a lot of courage. And yeah, there's a lot of patience that you need to develop as well. I'm just very excited where I am right now. I'm very excited to keep growing because I definitely have a lot more to learn and to grow.
And that's something you should be proud of is that like when you see yourself a couple years ago when starting out in this field, you're like, well, I have no idea what I'm doing. But when you see that kind of things you started, this is like when you reflect on those past and when you're growing, it's just like something you should be grateful for and how far you came and from the last couple of years in terms of acting.
Definitely. And also with going through the Miss Universe Puerto Rico and Miss Universe in general, it really allowed me to develop many, many things. And it did take time. And I think that's just a thing of life. It doesn't matter if you're in the film or entertainment industry or the fashion industry, or you're a doctor, or I don't know, a lawyer or a chef or whatever. There's always a process of growth and learning that takes a lot of time, for which you need a lot of patience. So it's been good. I guess I'm living life.
For sure. And like you are very passionate about women's growth. Like in your perspective, like how can like women grow as a person?
To me, I think one of the biggest realizations that I've had for the past years is the importance of your self concept. The platform of Miss Universe is pretty much one of the only platforms that I know of that allows women to put their focus on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
If you're at work, you always have to be working. Or if you're in a modeling world and that's it, then you always have to just, do the modeling. But there's not really space to converge the two. So with Miss Universe, I really felt the freedom to be completely who I was, meaning, being attracted to these intellectual things and the university degrees that I got and what I was doing before, but also embracing the fact that I always loved modeling and that it was okay. And it was a process of getting to know myself and constructing that self concept of who you are, what are the things that are important to you, what are your values. When you're clear on your self concept, it is way easier to grow because
Oh,
you Yeah, you can easily identify the path that you need to take in order to reach that goal. And I would say that will be the most important, just taking the time to look into yourself and have a clear view of your self concept. That will definitely guide you and give you a lot of light in all any kind of experience that you go through life.
Because like with women, like in terms of growing, like they often probably think about like how can I really grow as a person, like in terms of work or individually mental health or like a family well-being or whatever that reason may be. Like sometimes it can just be very difficult for a woman to grow as a person. And
Yeah.
like it's very difficult at times, especially if like you want to change, become a better person. Like there are many resources like a therapist or maybe meditation to help grow as a person. I know meditation and or maybe writing your thoughts down in a journal or something. Like those type of things will help you so much. I know meditation has helped me so much as a person. Like whatever those in like those resources might help you, like it's like as long as you at least try to get that done and try to like put the work in, whether it's like 10 minutes a day or 15 minutes a day, or at least put some time in between work or school or your schedule. Like just put that time in, make that time in for yourself as a person instead of
Yeah.
stressing yourself out for work.
Yeah, definitely, especially because now there's so much pressure for us women to be independent and empowered and to be professionals and leaders that it's very easy to forget that aspect of the interiority of who you are, the most vulnerable part. It is very difficult to be able to answer very simple questions like what makes you happy, what makes you sad,
Mhm.
uh, what are your values? It is easier for a lot of us women to answer a political or socially charged question because we train to be intellectuals, to show people that we are women and we are smart. But we forget that part of just resting. We forget the part of taking care of our souls from within, which is the
Mhm.
simplest things of just, going to the movies or painting your nails or having a conversation with your best friend. And that I think takes a lot more courage than just developing intellectually. And we forget that. For me, the most important thing is to have those two well balanced.
Mhm.
Yes, develop yourself as an intellectual, smart, independent woman, but make sure you also nourishing your soul with the simplest things of life, which are the things that a lot of people rather not pay attention to because they put us in a very vulnerable situation that we don't like people to see. So if you're able to openly nourish those two, I think you will grow beautifully.
Oh yeah, definitely. And like how can people support women to grow? Whether it's like your family, best friend, or just your loved ones trying to support people going through a rough time and willing to grow.
Yeah, I think I will always think of education as the first step for any kind of person to understand what are the needs of women, specifically depending on where they are and where they want to develop themselves. In a lot of moments, I think giving words of affirmation, support, like verbally supporting women, it's one of the easiest ways to tell a person and a woman, I'm here, I believe in you. Um, so yeah, and also starting to believe that women are capable of being leaders. I think we have so many examples right now, and there's no
Mhm.
doubt that we are capable of doing great, great things. So just integrating that in every single aspect of your thoughts, I think it's the first step to support women's growth.
Definitely. That is so well said. It's like when people are supporting women, I know with women it can be very doubtful because like when like women got years later were given the right to vote in the United States and men
Yeah,
were voted like that, like to see how much like women had fought to be equal and stuff, and it's still not equal. Well, it's better than years ago, but it's still like a lot of work we need to put in to actually women to get treated equally. Like the women's soccer team, we have to go to court to get paid equally to the men's soccer team and
yeah.
stuff. So it's like it's so much work, but things are getting better, even though it might not seem out that way. But it's like with women's growth will make us feel better if men are also supporting us as well as people.
Yeah, that's a very important aspect of it. And I think we are in a good place right now. There's a lot of change that still needs to come. But I think the difference now is that there is a lot more awakening from the communities, from the societies to see where things are lacking and a willingness to understand how to get these things that are lacking. Definitely is a discussion that everyone needs to have. It's not only about women supporting women, it's about men and everyone in general supporting everyone. But yeah,
Mhm.
usually we talk about women's growth and we leave men on the side, and especially people that are already where they are, that are already taking advantage of special treatments or leadership positions, important men. People that are there already can do a lot by, bringing all the other people that are not there yet. So I think that's the case for men. There's a lot of men that I've been able to work with that are very aware of that and that are willing and super interested in supporting women. So that's also been lovely to see.
It truly is. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to come on the podcast. Are seriously amazing. I love getting the chance to chat with you today, and I really appreciate you taking the time. Everyone, thank you so much for listening, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope everyone enjoyed this episode as much as I did, and thank you so much for taking the time. It is so lovely to meet you.
Thank you, Kylie. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye bye.